Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we talk about the pretty, twisted side of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a new kinkster or have years of experience, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us on this journey as we talk about our personal experiences and use the knowledge we've gained over 28 years of being involved in both private and professional aspects of this lifestyle to help you explore every facet of kink.
Get set for an adventure. Not only will you learn and grow, but we promise loads of laughter, turning each episode into a fun party. So fasten your seatbelt and let's get this show started. Pink Kink runs off the generosity of our devoted patrons.
As a patron, you will become a member of our special Discord server, receive some adorable Pink Kink stickers, as well as have access to a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast. Patrons also get discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
In addition, our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get special audio and video episodes. And finally, patrons at our highest tier will be recognized as producers, both here on the podcast and on our website.
If you would like to become a patron, you can visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click the link at pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Fabe, Embers, William P, Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Amanda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Brian, Make Cry Devil, Ruby Riot, Mistress Velma, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Violet Rain, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Lady Affliction,
Pumpkin Pie, Ms. Tourmaline, S'more, Hacksaw, Wee Mad Beastie, To Be Better For Me, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override, Iro, Kinky Bear, Sviper No Sviping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Sinful and Naughty, Coffee and Chaos, Noir, Mr. Pillsbury, Stitch, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Princess Sassy Pants, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, DJ Harlow, Ophelia, Drew, Daddy's Pumpkin, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Mongoose, Sadia, Forest, and It's Valentine.
Dara, you got your coffee?
Yes, it's on the floor, but I can get it.
I was just going to say, pick it up.
Okay.
Get comfortable. Take a nap.
Sit back, relax.
And I'll wake you when I'm done.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Because this is one of those topics, not since I think Blood Play have we had a topic that you have little to no experience in.
Absolutely zero.
I'm trying to be kind, but yes, that is true.
Little to no. I have like negative experience.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
I know, but if I had to list one of the most requested topics, this would be it.
Yeah, so I know several people that could probably skip this episode.
That's fine, but don't because...
Well, I mean, there's always surprises and awesome personality things thrown in.
Well, there's also the fact that maybe they have friends who, for some strange reason, don't listen to the podcast yet. So if they listen to this, they can share the information with their friends and tell them to start listening to us.
Okay, well, shame on you if you have friends that are kinky and don't already listen to the podcast, because it is literally your job as a friend of them and a friend of the podcast to tell them about us.
Shame. All right, so if you're ready for your nap, I'm ready to get going.
Night.
All right, but just let me know when I'm getting close to my hour mark because this, again, another episode with tons and tons of notes.
Okay, but that means I actually have to pay attention.
I just set an alarm for 1 hour and wake up in an hour.
No, I'm going to set an alarm for 45 minutes because if I don't give you regular updates starting from the 45-minute mark every 5 minutes, you go until the hour and 27-minute mark.
Yeah. Somebody said, oh, that must be really hard talking for that long.
No,
it's not for me.
She fucking forgets that she's got time limits.
I do.
That's literally my job during recording is to time limit rah.
So, once I explain to you what this topic is about, you'll understand why I'm telling Dara to take a nap.
I'm going to go look on Pinterest for
there
food.
You go.
And recipes or something.
So, the topic that we have had so many requests 4 that Dara cannot really participate in at all is talking about how to navigate your DS dynamics as parents. Now, I have had a DS dynamic with my kids, but my kids were older at the time.
Time out.
Okay, let me say that. What is that in Willy Wonka? Is it go back and redo it again or something, he says?
Yeah, I don't know the exact line because I didn't watch the new one.
I have been a parent in a DS dynamic. Is that better? I have been in a DS dynamic when I was a parent.
I have been in a DS dynamic while at the same time being a parent.
That's a lot of words there. But
I know,
what Dara
but
said.
clarification.
What Dara said. But
This
my
is
kids,
going to be one of those episodes.
Yes. But my kids were older, so I didn't have as many problems. And my kids expect me to be weird and do weird things, so that also helps. But it's definitely something that I understand can be really difficult. It is hard to maintain a healthy, active DS dynamic while you're busy parenting, especially if your kids are little. So let's get into this. Let's start off with what are some of the challenges that you probably face? Well,
can I just say everything?
Well, not everything.
I feel like this would be monstrous. Look. Oh, I can contribute a story.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Okay, because dogs.
Almost the same, but not quite.
I mean, they're basically toddlers, right?
Yeah, but it's not like they're going to go to school and tell their friends and teachers about what mommy and daddy are doing.
They go to daycare. They probably tell the other dogs.
Okay, but are the other dogs then telling their parents? And then are you getting phone calls from the administration?
No.
Okay.
But still. So Daddy and I tried to change things up the other day and not be in a bedroom. So we started going for it on the couch. I just really wanted to give him a blowjob. And I said, he goes, okay,
words
should we?
to live by. I just really want to give him a blowjob.
I really did. It was important. I had to do it right at that moment. So I told him go on the couch and he's like, should we go upstairs? I was like, no, I want to do something different. We started in the kitchen and then we moved to the couch.
And crazy
right?
people.
It was, and the window was open so the neighbors could have seen. I was like really into this. And the dogs kept coming over and trying to figure out what we were doing and getting all up in our business. So, of course, he lost it. And I'm sitting there with a dick in my mouth just cracking the fuck up.
Okay, but did the dogs hold up a sign to give you a score for your technique?
They did not give us a score because at that time he had to pull his pants up. And we ran up the stairs anyway.
And then you locked them out the door?
And then we locked them out. And then we opened up the door when we were done. And the one was just sitting there outside the door going, are you done yet? And then, of course, the other one jumped up on the bed where Daddy J was still laying naked, recovering. And he's rolling the fuck off the bed. Holy shit! Because she immediately wanted to sniff.
Interesting smells coming.
Yeah, similar.
Sure.
It's my one story.
Okay. Thank you for contributing, Dara.
I do the best I can with what I have.
Your efforts are much appreciated. So let's talk about some of the challenges with actual two-legged children, not four-legged children.
Human children?
Yes.
Okay.
I probably should say that because there might be two-legged dogs out there.
Exactly.
In their cute little wheelchair
little
thingies.
wheelies.
Yeah, wheelies. Let's start with some time constraint issues, right? You've got a lack of time and energy for DS activities because parenting requires a lot of effort. There's juggling the multiple roles. You have to be a caregiver, a professional if you have a job, partners, mommy, daddy, whatever name you go by. And the energy required for parenting the little suckers, and don't get me wrong, I love them, leaves little room for energy needed to engage in DS activities.
The little gremlins.
I mean, just the daily routine alone. Dara, this is a daily routine. Okay, you wake up in the morning and you got to get up early because you got to get yourself ready before you can get the children ready for school.
Yes.
All right?
I do that
then
with the
you've got
dogs.
to manage breakfast.
Yes.
Getting them dressed while handling any morning tantrums or logistical issues and get out the door.
You've met my dogs, right?
Which is why when my kids were in daycare, I could tell you that there have been a time or two where they ended up going to daycare in their pajamas because mommy ran out of time to fight them on getting dressed. So I sent them to school in their pajamas. Couldn't do that.
Go naked, but that's fine.
Okay. Then you've got your daytime responsibilities. You've got work commitments, which can include meetings and projects and deadlines. And then God forbid, you've also got to run errands. such as grocery shopping, any appointments, or extracurricular activities. Dear God, when you've got multiple kids and one's in baseball, one's in basketball, and one's in dance, and then you've got not only their practices and classes, but then their games and their meets, and you got to sit with the schedule and who's taking which kid to which activity. Is it an activity you can drop your kid off and walk away from? Or is it an activity you got to stay at? Then there's the evening routine. You got to come home and prepare and serve dinner and manage any homework and addressing bedtime routines, such as showers and bath time and getting clothes set up for the next day and the lunches set up and soothing children who want to talk to you about stuff or getting them to sleep, getting them to stay asleep.
How the fuck do parents ever have time to make another one?
Apparently you do, because I have 3 kids.
Like, how the fuck do you have that kind of time and energy?
No.
I would be passed out.
Oh, I'm still not even done with the day yet.
Dude, I was fucking passed out for 4 months straight when we got the puppy.
Right? Then there's the nighttime responsibilities once you finally got the little suckers in bed, where you've got to balance the household chores, like you're cleaning and you're organizing and finding time for maybe just sitting down and being able to read a book or take a bath or do your nails.
Hey, Rara, I just want to point something out. You might want to stop referring to them as little suckers because you're going to get somebody like messaging you saying, children are not suckers. They were a blessing.
Most of the time. I'm just going to say this right here and right now so you all know what my position is. I love kids. Okay? I love kids. I have them. I work with them. I love kids. Okay? I am not the television movie mother who thinks the sun rises and sets on my kids. My kids' shit stinks. Trust me. I've been in the bathroom after them. Their shit stinks. Love them to death. Absolutely love them to death. But are there times where I kind of look at them and go, what the fuck was I thinking? Yes. Yes, there are, because I'm human. And I will admit it because I know we're all thinking it, and too many people are afraid to admit it.
They're just all crotch goblins.
Okay? Being a parent is very fulfilling and satisfying and one of the most frustrating things in the world you will ever do, because you make these children and then they have the nerve to have their own opinions and do their own shit, and they don't always listen and do what you want them to do. And guess what? You're supposed to love them anyway and accept what they want to do. Even if you're sitting there in the back of your head going, well, that is stupid, but you can't say that to them because that's not good parenting. So yes, I am going to call them suckers. I still love them.
How many times have you actually looked at your child dead-faced and said, well, that's stupid?
I have.
Yes, I was going to say.
They're my kids and it's me.
Yep.
And I have.
I knew it. So listen, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, your daughter is 100% my favorite.
She's a hoot and a half. But she's me. So if you're friends with me, you got to be friends with my daughter.
She kicked so much ass when she was 12 at fucking like Cards Against Humanity. I've never been so impressed in my life.
I'm so proud of my little girl.
And now she's 19 and I'm like, God damn it. What?
Oh, she's 19. She is a year ahead in college, so she's going to graduate in 3 years and not 4. She is the president of one group, the treasurer of another group, managing straight A's. Yeah. My kid's got her shit together. How? I don't know, but she's got her shit together.
That's the one that's going to start, that's going to put you in a really good nursing home.
Well, yeah, she is, because she told me I can't live with her.
Yeah.
Though I offered, I said...
Is she going to pay for your roommate too?
I told her once she makes enough money, if she needs me to come and watch the grandchildren so she could work, I'll do that. She's like, only if I can get one of those places with a grandma house. So I don't actually live in the house with them.
No, it's like you either get a duplex and one side is you and the other side is the other family, or you get the one that has like a side entrance and it's like part of the house.
Well, like my own little house entrance over the garage or something.
Yeah, something like that, like an apartment or something.
She's not coming east. It's cold here. She's not coming east. She says that. We'll see where she gets a job. Anyway, all of this is going to cause disruptions.
She could fucking work at Quantico easy.
She doesn't want to come east.
I'm telling you.
Now you got to leave off. There's disruptions to your DS activities, right? The unpredictable schedule. Children's needs can arise unexpectedly, causing interruptions. There's a decided lack of privacy. I remember I had a Dom who one of his goals with me is he wanted me to be louder during sexual activities. I'm like, do you understand how many years I shared a bedroom wall with my child? So any sexual activities had to be quiet because I couldn't have my child hear it.
Yeah.
I could not have my child wake up in the middle of the night. What you doing?
Well, not only that, but like you could be in the shower and the first thing they do is open the curtain and they're like, hi!
The amount of conversations I've had with my kids, Mom, you're naked. Yes, sweetie, I need to get naked to take a shower. Well, you're not in the shower right now. I know, but I just stepped out of the shower. Like, you can't come into my bathroom and then be shocked I'm not dressed.
Kids are weird.
Okay. There's, of course, the fatigue and the stress because let's just face it, it's exhausting from parenting. And especially, too, I can't speak for dads because I'm not a dad, but moms know what I'm talking about. You become a mom so much and for so long that that's almost your whole personality. So thinking sexy time, thinking anything having to do with sex is like, but I've lost that loving feeling, and not because I don't love my partner, but because I'm so embedded in mom space that sexual space is just, what's that? I don't know what that is. You're constantly rescheduling or postponing any activities because you got 3 kids and all of a sudden fucking shit, but your son's basketball team's made it to the playoff round. This is how you know you're a real parent. When your son's team finally loses, and instead of being sad, you're like, oh, thank God, that means the season's over. We're done.
Ouch.
You don't tell your kid that. To your kid, you're like, aw. But inside, you're going, oh, thank God I got my Saturdays back.
My parents were the ones that came to every single performance because I didn't do sports. I did performing arts. Mm-hmm. I did the plays. I did the choral concerts. I did state. I did everything. And they came to, like, if I was in a play, they'd come to opening night, middle night, closing night. They would film it. They were those parents.
Yeah. Well, my problem was we had 3 kids and sometimes things conflicted. So we didn't get to go do everything because, like, we took our kids to Disneyland, and there's a 10-year age gap between the oldest and the youngest. So needless to say, they had very different interests. So it was almost a separate vacation because their father took the boys to do all the stuff the boys were into, which was Star Wars and superheroes and all that. And I took my daughter to all the princess stuff that she was into and the Disney Junior stuff she was into. So we didn't even really vacation together. We were separate.
I'd be so upset because I'd want to do both.
I did want to do both, but you only have so many hours at Disney to do.
Yeah.
So some of the strategies for maintaining these time constraints is, and you guys are going to hear us say this all the fucking time, communication, right? Openly discuss it. Be realistic about it. Don't try to pretend it's not going to make a difference. Don't try to pretend that you can ignore it. It exists, and you're going to have to talk about it. And you're going to have to be flexible. And maybe this is where all my ability to have plan A through J comes through, because you got to be prepared to change up the plans if the kids don't follow things, or all of a sudden your son's team makes the playoffs and your potential for going away a particular weekend isn't going to happen now. Right? So you got to do all that. You have to schedule your activities. And I know it may seem like, I want to be spontaneous when it comes to my lovemaking. Someday the kids will grow up, God willing, move out of your house, and you can be spontaneous about your lovemaking. You can't be spontaneous when they're little. You have to plan specific times, such as their nap time or after bedtime, or, talk to grandma and grandpa and they have sleepovers. And that's your time to do stuff. As I said, be very flexible. Adapt your DS activities to fit into shorter or more spontaneous time slots. All of a sudden, right? You've got, oh, look, at the last minute, our child got invited to a play date with a sleepover at a friend's house. We've got the evening free. Hurry up, let's do something.
Yeah, if you're not just falling over from exhaustion.
Right? And then shared responsibilities. Make sure you are dividing parental responsibilities with your partners so that you have more space for DS activities. I do not recommend that just because you are the mom or if you're the submissive that you're taking on most of parenting. The parenting should be separate from the DS, because if you're spending all your supposed DS time taking care of the parental responsibilities, because, well, that's my responsibility as a submissive, you'll have no time or energy for the actual other stuff.
Look, parenting and DS should be completely separate regardless. Regardless of whether or not you're the dom or the sub, Parenting and the DS dynamic should have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
All right, let's talk about back hurts. Sorry.
I was going to say, I heard that.
Yeah, privacy concerns, right? There's challenges in maintaining the privacy and discretion around the children. You've got physical space limitations. You're going to have limited areas in the home to actually do the fun stuff because maybe one room has now become the playroom. If you have multiple kids, they don't all hang out in one room because they're fighting and bickering and you can't stand it anymore. So you have to separate them into different rooms. So now you've lost 2 rooms. Depending upon how many TVs you have in your house and what rooms there are. I still remember one of my favorite stories is my middle child, because I had 3 TVs with 3 kids. Normally, I only needed 2 TVs because at least 2 of them would do the same thing. This particular day, for whatever reason, each one needed their own separate TV. So my middle one went into our bedroom to watch. And he comes out, he goes, Mom, I found this DVD left in the DVD player. It was a porn DVD. And I looked at him and I thought for a second, he goes, Dad, it must be Dad's. And I went, yes. Yes, it is, honey. It's Dad's.
And he probably still thinks that it's Dad's.
It can be Dad's. That's fine. It can forevermore be Dad's. Right? So, that's the kind of challenges that happen when you're sharing space. And God forbid you've got a baby who maybe is sharing the master bedroom with you. Not that they can necessarily hear anything, but not everybody necessarily wants to have sex with the baby in the room, even if the baby can't.
The baby can't understand anything.
Right? What's happening? Shared beds. I mean, there's a lot of co-sleeping that happens. That's going to take away your privacy. Then, of course, there's the unexpected interruptions because children just walk into rooms. They don't necessarily pay any attention to closed doors. And then if you try, well, I'm going to lock it. Do you know what happens? Then as the kids grow up, it's like, door's locked. We know what mom and dad are doing.
Taking a nap.
Yeah. They're awfully loud for their nap.
They're sleep talking.
Right? Or the number of times they just show up in your room at 2 or 3 in the morning. They're just there.
You're safe.
The amount of times I have woken up to a face 2 inches from mine staring at me.
I'd probably punch it.
Okay? No, they don't touch you. They just kind of wait. And this presence, you just kind of open your eyes and they're just there.
God damn, that's fucking creepy.
It's weird. Okay? They're not predictable. Children are just, the only thing you could predict about children is that they're going to be unpredictable. So that's going to be, you've got the sound management, managing your noise levels. I know friends who have talked about the problem is how do they do any spanking in their house between the sound of the spanking and the sound of the bottom, the submissive, reacting to the spanking. You know, ball gags aren't necessarily going to stop you from going, right?
More like,
still make that sound.
It's going to be more like,
no, even with the ball gag, it's going to be, you can still do it. It's just not going to be clear. Oh, God, I got the snort. Right? And then children hear everything.
And repeat.
The biggest problem is once they learn how to spell. Because you try spelling, and then all of a sudden you realize the kid will respond back to you. Like you'll say, okay, after I said, say to your partner, okay, so later we can take the kids to the PLAYGROND. Cool. All right. Mom, I don't really want to go to the playground. You fucking knew what I spelled?
Yeah, my dogs know how to spell now. So if I say, hey, we need to take them on a WALK, they know. If I'm like, I'm going to see if they want to do an RUN in the back, they know.
Yeah.
Yeah. They fucking know.
Look, my cat knows how to tell time.
Yes.
Her food bowl goes off at 7. At 6:58, she plants herself in front of it. She knows it's coming. I don't know how they can tell time, but they can.
I think it has something to do, I read this once, and it has to do with the smell. So the smell stays in the air for a certain amount of time, and they base their routine on when that smell happens. So have you ever wondered how a dog knows what time their person comes home?
Yeah.
It's because they know the number, the scent in the air has dissipated enough. When it gets to a certain point, that's when they come home and they refresh the smell. So they base it on
Because my cat is often in the window when I come home.
Yes.
Waiting for me.
Because it's the smell. However long you've been gone, that many hours that is usual is the amount of time that your smell has had to dissipate from the area. And then they're like, oh, it's reached that point. She's going to come back now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. You've also, so sound management, you've got the noise levels during the DS activities, and then children can hear sounds or voices that could lead to those awkward questions. Oh, mommy, what were you doing? I heard you and daddy making sounds last night. It sounded like you were in pain. You've got the risk of children discovering the DS materials or witnessing scenes. They might find the books, the toys, or the equipment, which again leads to questions you might not want to answer. That is how I came out to my daughter about Kink. I completely forgot that I had bruises.
Oh, yeah.
And I got undressed.
I thought somehow she found your basement.
No, I got undressed.
Mm-hmm.
No, my daughter saw my basement and just assumed it was a sex dungeon.
So was this before or after the bruises?
That would have been before the bruises. So she was thinking just sex versus physical impact and stuff.
Got you.
Right? And here's the other problem. Even if the kids say nothing to you, I can assure you they will go to school and say something to their peers and or their teacher. And then you get the awkward phone call or message from your kid's teacher or from their friends' parents saying, so your kid told my kid, that's not a good time.
No.
Right? And sometimes it's really hard to answer questions in age-appropriate manner. One of my favorite all-time stories, when I was pregnant with my youngest, or maybe I was pregnant with my middle one, and I was trying to explain the birds and the bees to my middle one, or my oldest. Favorite story ever. He's 29 now, and I still remember this. He must have been about 4 at the time. So 25 years later, and I'm going to embarrass him with the story forever.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be listening.
No. So, well, I tell it in front of him and to other people in front of him. So we get through the whole explanation of the birds and the bees, and which takes a while because you start off very simplistic and then eventually get more clinical and really explain it. So I had finally gotten to explaining about the whole penis and the vagina portion. And he very calmly says, oh, so next time you and daddy do that, can I watch? And I said, I'm sorry, honey. No, that's something that's just private. And he goes, but I'm family.
Oh, my God. Nope.
And I said, yes, sweetie, you are family, but that's just private between mommy and daddy.
Nope.
Or the time that he asked me, could he get noise-canceling earphones? And I said, why do you need noise-canceling earphones? He goes, because you can be really loud, Mom.
My God.
Yeah, so these are fun things. But he was also an adult at that point, so yeah. But you have to worry about children inadvertently witnessing something. Even if it's not necessarily a scene, it could be just one of the rules of your dynamic and the way you have to do things. And they might notice and question about it. And you want to be careful about the potential psychological impact on the children if they are encountering these scenes or these materials unintentionally. So some strategies for dealing with the privacy concerns. Okay, create specific secure spaces in the home for DS activities that are off limits to your children. So maybe it's your basement. Maybe it is a section of your house that they can't get into. Maybe it's making sure you always lock the door before you do anything so they can't walk in on you. Make sure you're storing your DS materials and toys in locked or hidden locations to prevent accidental discovery. Or because my kids were old enough, I just point blank told them, do not open that drawer. If you open that drawer, you are going to see things you do not want to see. Do not open that drawer. Now, for some kids, that might be, ooh, now I want to. But I knew my kids well enough that was definitely them going, I'm not touching that then because I don't need to know that, Mom. Thank you so much. People put stuff in like trunks that are locked, or they're hidden under the bed or at the top of the closet where your kids can't reach. Noise control. Buy your little suckers noise-canceling devices. Get them noise-canceling headphones so that they can't hear things. Or background sounds to minimize the risk of overhearing. So get yourself, an Alexa or Google Nest or something that can play music. And make sure you're establishing clear boundaries and rules with your children about knocking before entering rooms and respecting privacy. And be prepared with age-appropriate explanations or strategies for addressing any accidental encounters in a way that maintains discretion and safeguards your children's well-being. All right, so let's talk about the emotional and mental load demands of being both a parent and part of a DS relationship. All right, you need to have worry about your emotional energy distribution between your parenting duties and maintaining, right? Because being a parent requires a high level of emotional support and attention, which is going to leave you with a little less energy for your DS dynamics. And the mental load of parenting, constantly thinking about what your children need, the schedule, the future planning. I mean, one of the reasons my marriage didn't work out was because I took on 100% of the mental load.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit.
Right? I knew when their next doctor's appointments were and when they needed to happen. I knew what their schedules were for school and days off and extracurricular activities. I had to worry about, have they outgrown their clothes? Do I need them to get new clothes? Have the seasons changed? So now I need to make sure that we have enough of the clothes for the new season. Did they outgrow their shoes? And now I need to make sure they get new shoes. Oh, look at them. They need a haircut. I have to go take them to get their hair cut. Oh, it's bath night. They've got to take it, right? All of that. That is exhausting. And it bred frustration because I had to remember all that. So all of that, you've got to manage the behavior, resolving the conflicts, the kids bicker, kids fight, and addressing and then if you have any children with developmental issues, which is just going to add to your mental burden. I've got my oldest falls on the spectrum. My daughter as a baby had to do physical therapy. So all of that just adds more to that mental load and uses up so much energy.
And not only that, you've got the other kid who is not the one needing all the extras. I can speak on that. Look, another story I can share. And you need to make sure that you give attention to that kid too, because that one's going to feel like the one with the special needs is taking everything.
Yep. All right. And it's hard to maintain your DS dynamics when you are just emotionally and psychologically exhausted from the caregiving with the children. And you want to make sure that everybody's boundaries and needs are being respected while also managing parenting responsibilities. And the impact of all the stress and fatigue is going to affect the dynamic, right? High levels of stress from parenting duties or external pressures can really affect your patience and communication within your dynamic. And the increased stress can lead to misunderstandings or conflicts because, right, let's say you're the submissive and you feel like your dominant is not doing 50-50 when it comes to the kids. And now you are struggling, like, can I yell at them like I want to yell at them? Or is that not being very submissive of me and respectful of me? Like all of that. You might have just chronic fatigue from parenting responsibilities. I'm telling you, you're just fucking tired all the goddamn time. And especially if they're really young and the sleeping through the night is an issue. And it's not like you can go to a park and sit back and relax and just supervise because they're younger. So you've got to be there because otherwise they're going to try to climb things and fall and you've got to be on top of them. Let me tell you, the moment that you can actually get to the point where you can just sit on the bench and supervise is a beautiful feeling. This, for me, one of the most exciting parts as a parent was when I could go to Target by myself. Sad but true, right? There's just physical and emotional exhaustion, emotional availability, right? If you're fatigued and you're stressed, how much emotional availability are you going to have for your dynamic? And then that lack of emotional connection within the dynamic is going to definitely affect it greatly. So what are some of the strategies for dealing with all of this? Well, plan and prioritize both parenting and DS activities to manage time and energy effectively. You've got to put into your schedule, figure out some time for the dynamic. If you are focusing 100% of the time in the parenting and 0% of the time on the dynamic, your dynamic is just going to stop. It's not going to work. Make sure you're scheduling regular check-ins with the partners to maintain connection and address any issues that are arising. And be honest, open communication. Talk to your partner and say, look, I am feeling a certain way. I feel like I'm not connected to you as a dom or sub, just as my co-parent. important, and we've got to fix this out. Make sure you're incorporating self-care routines to manage stress and recharge, because that will positively impact your parenting and your DS activities. And I know you're going, Jesus Christ, I barely have enough time in the day to devote to taking care of my kids and making sure I set aside the time for my partner and her DS activities. When the hell am I going to have time to just take a bubble bath? Or when am I going to have time to just kind of sit and read my book that I've been dying to read?
Well, you know what? Honestly, the self-care part could be part of the dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the dominant, I would definitely put that as a task, that you need to make sure you are having a certain amount of time, even if it's just 30 fucking minutes a day.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard, especially, I don't know how it is in other situations, but Judaism is a very matriarchal society, right? The women rule the roost. It's what we do. And in my marriage particularly, it was very well known, I was the main caregiver. I was the final decision maker when it came to the kids. And as a result, the kids would pretty much come to me directly and bypass the father. So going to the bathroom, I couldn't even get a break to go to the bathroom without getting interrupted. And I remember one day I was in the bathroom, my ex-husband was sitting on the sofa, and I hear the kids, because they're not quiet, going, "Hey, Dad." And I thought, finally, they're going to ask Dad.
Where's Mom?
That's what they asked. Where's Mom? Right?
Yep.
So, like, if I had just had, so for me, I made sure I would go and get my nails done. Every other week, it was an hour plus travel time out of my day every other week where there were no kids around. I could not pick up my phone because my nails were wet. Working on my nails. Don't bother, Mommy.
Well, I mean, I think that's a little different now because especially if you have a DS relationship, a good dom would specifically make sure that the submissive partner is being taken care of by, especially if the submissive partner is the one doing a lot of the childcare. That should be literally part of your dynamic. That's the only part that I could say for sure should be part of it.
I would think so. And then, of course, you still got to be flexible. And maybe you need to make some adaptations to your DS dynamic when the kids are a certain age. So like when they're younger, 0 through 5. And then once they're 5, then you can make some changes again. Because now at 5, your kid can go to a birthday party and be dropped off versus you having to be there. So now it's like, oh, look, little Bobby has the birthday party. It's a 2-hour birthday party. We can drop him off there. That gives us quickly, even with travel time, we can hurry up. That gives us 1 hour where we can hurry up and do a DS activity. Throw that kid out the door at the birthday party and let's run home and do something. Or I'll go drop him off while you get everything set up so I can come back in the house and we do it.
Yep.
Right? And then once they're teenagers, you make changes again and just be prepared to be flexible and adjust.
Look, I've got 1 hour before I have to go pick up so-and-so at football practice. Let's go.
Exactly. All right, so let's talk about maybe adapting your roles. So how can you adapt traditional DS roles to accommodate parenting duties? Well, you might need to make adjustments. It's all fine and dandy to say, well, as the dom, I need my submissive to serve me by doing A, B, and C. Well, the reality is with little kids, there might not be time to do that. That might be too much. And you're basically, one of the important things as a dominant is you should never set up your submissive to fail. Whatever you come up with and do and want, even if it's you go into negotiations and you say, this is what I would like as the dominant. You cannot set up your submissive to fail. So be prepared to adapt their role once the little kids show up. And mind you, some of this will have to also start once they're pregnant, because pregnancy is physically exhausting. Well, if they have, with my daughter specifically, my morning sickness was morning, afternoon, and evening.
It was right up until the day you gave birth,
Literally,
right?
I threw up the day I gave birth. I never did not throw up. I only gained 12 pounds, just to show you how sick I was the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was exhausted, especially like with each subsequent pregnancy, I got more exhausted because when I was pregnant with the first, I could come home from work and just relax. But now that I'm pregnant with the second, I come home from work, I've got the first who still needs taken care of. So I can't just sit and relax. And by the third, now I had 2 kids. And because they were 10 and 6 when their sister was born, now I also still had to take them to basketball practice and baseball practice and football practice or whatever activity they were doing at that time. So I couldn't just relax. So, that's when these adjustments need to start, is from pregnancy on.
And people wonder why people choose not to ever get pregnant.
So listen, I loved being pregnant, but it is physically exhausting. But I also know people who are like, I want a child and recognize that pregnancy, I'm going to go through pregnancy to get the child, but I didn't love the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends. Everybody,
That's fair.
Every body is different. So you might need to integrate parenting texts into the dynamic, but make sure you're not disrupting the core aspects of the relationship. So you might put into your DS dynamics, okay, as a submissive, these are your parenting responsibilities, because then I'll take care of these parenting responsibilities. So by putting it as part of your DS dynamic, you're letting basically know you don't have to worry about the ones in column B, because I got those. The column A are your responsibilities. And then, of course, I'm also putting in there your self-care times that you get to have that, right? Dominant, one of the ways roles can possibly shift is your dominant is going to have to expand their role of caretaking. They might need to start taking on, as part of their dominant, use their dominant skills to now help with the kids. God knows I could have used an extra dominant in my house, I should say, let's be honest, an extra dominant in my house for when the kids would not listen to me about the fighting and bickering, because that's a big one. They might be the one handling the bedtime routines and providing emotional support or dealing with different things. Dominant's going to need to provide more emotional support and patience, adapting their typical assertive role to accommodate the demands of parenting, and making sure that they are definitely, and I'm not saying that doms are not nurturing. Please don't say that. I'm not saying that they're not, but you're going to have to still balance authority with the nurturing approach when interacting with children. The submissive is going to need to step up and assert some authority with the children, right? Submissives might be used to not really taking an authoritative stance, but you will with the kids. You're not submitting to the kids, so you got to stand up to them. And that's going to be an absolute contrast to what maybe you do in your dynamic. Some of the strategies for adapting these roles, of course, is sitting down with your partner and doing what? Communicating.
Wait, what? What was that?
Right?
We don't talk about that word ever.
Never. And negotiate adjustments to your DS roles to align with your parenting duties so that both partners understand and agree on exactly what needs to happen. Of course, as I'm a broken record on this, you got to be flexible. Develop some flexible strategies and implement some practical solutions for managing with your DS scenes or rituals within the constraints of parenting. Again, team sport. It's collaborative.
Yeah, that works.
Approach,
yeah.
Right? DS is a team sport. God fucking knows parenting is a team sport. So you need to work together. So the next section I want to talk about is strategies for maintaining some subtle dynamics so that your kids are not finding out what the fuck's going on. Right? Well, you can start off by creating some discrete signals and codes, maybe gestures and body language, such as a specific touch on the arm or a particular look or a particular hand signal to convey commands or preferences without drawing attention. I've seen people like the first time your dominant is warning you, they'll tap their chin with one finger. Second time they're warning you, they're tapping their chin with 2 fingers and so on. That kind of stuff so that you know what they mean, but nobody else knows what they mean, right? And maybe incorporate some specific phrases or keywords that can be used in everyday conversation that could imply a command or a request or a warning. Visual signals, the same thing. We talked about that. And then be consistent with it. Make sure that you're using those signals and codes consistently so you're avoiding any confusion. Integrate your rituals into daily life. Let's say some subtle rituals in your daily routines. Maybe preparing meals, right? Like you like to cook as a love language and as a way to serve.
Yep.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what you do as the parent. Everybody's got to eat anyway. So that's going to feel natural and unobtrusive. Maybe it's your dominant is preparing their submissive's favorite morning coffee as a small act of sharing gratitude or it's the submissive's job to set out lunch for the dominant for the next day and pack their lunch for them, where the kids won't think twice about it. You're in a restaurant and it's your job as a submissive. The dominant always has to eat first before you're allowed to start eating. Nobody's going to notice that. And if somebody all of a sudden notices it, you can kind of pass it off going, oh, really? I didn't notice that. I just like wait till everybody's got their food type thing. Use moments of transition like before bed or after work to include subtle DS relationships. That can be framed as regular family practices. For example, setting aside a few minutes for a quiet, private moment of connection or affirmation. So maybe the kids know that at 7 o'clock after dinner, after the kitchen's been cleaned up, the kids go and watch a TV show while mom and dad have 10, 15 minutes to themselves in the bedroom. And I'm not saying you're going to go in there and hurry up and fuck or have a spanking or something, but it's part of your quiet time together to just reconnect. All right? Maintain a sense of control and submission. So you've got your subtle display of dynamics with chore assignments. The dominant is assigning specific chores to the submissive, or the submissive is taking initiative in certain areas that need to be done anyway as a parent. But now it becomes, I'm not necessarily doing this because I'm a parent, but I'm doing this because my dom assigned the task to me. Have daily check-ins, a morning check-in, right? If your spouse leaves for work before you, maybe your daily check-in is you text them in the morning to let them know you're now up. Look, one of Dara's things, right? You're supposed to text Daddy J that you've arrived places.
Yeah, and then I forget most of the time.
You did, but he's also really bad about enforcing it. So
so halfway through the first episode
was when you finally texted
I
him?
texted him and I said, hey, I got here at 9:30, and it was like 10:30.
But that's a great way. Have that as one of your rules that you have to like text the dominant, okay, I'm leaving with the kids to drop them off at school.
Yeah, it's a check-in system.
The kids aren't going to think twice about that. That'll never scream DS to them, right? Use technology. Add some fun technology into all of this. Utilize apps and digital tools to manage and communicate tasks or rituals discreetly. Obedience app. That's a great one. We are partnered with them. If you go to the obedienceapp.com/pinkkink, I think is what it is, you can get 20% off their premium thing. The kids won't think twice about you taking out your phone and putting something in there. And you can also tell them, oh yeah, I just use this to kind of keep track of what's still of my to-do list and what needs to be done. And yeah,
technically it's not a lie.
Right? And yeah, your other parent looks at it too because they know these things need to be done. So that way that tells them, oh, maybe I should do this, which that would be like, because those are your tasks, but your kids don't need to know that. Text messaging, of course, to send subtle commands, encouragement, or reminders throughout the day, which will help maintain the dynamic but keep communication private. Make sure your kids don't see this too. My daughter looked over my shoulder so many times she figured out my code to my phone, but she's very proud of herself. But she was also older and she knew well enough to not open my phone without permission.
And then you changed your code, right?
I didn't, because I trusted her enough to know she wouldn't open my phone without permission. And you can use your phone and calendar apps to set reminders or alerts for those important rituals or check-ins. Adapt your protocols to make them a little bit more kid-friendly. So things like using a gentle touch on the shoulder or a quiet verbal cue. Things like you have to walk on the certain side of me. You make the coffee and hand it to me. Things that nobody is necessarily going to think twice about. It's very easy. There are a ton of adaptive protocols that can be discreet and integrated naturally into daily life to prevent unnecessary attention from children or others. I think we did an episode on subtle DS, right?
I'm pretty sure we did, yeah.
Right? So check out that episode, and the whole thing is just giving you ideas of things that you can include.
Couldn't fucking tell you the episode number, but I'm pretty sure you can scroll through and find the title.
Yeah, you could. All right, so then let's get into finding playtime, because this is one of the hardest things, scheduling those intimate moments. Here's the reality. You're going to have to schedule. I'm sorry, your flexibility of just doing it when you feel like it is gone when you're working around kids. Between their schedule, your exhaustion, the fact that things have to be hidden and locked away so the kids don't find it. Spontaneity is not your friend with children. You have to schedule those times and plan ahead. And if you have to put it on the fucking calendar so that everybody remembers, then that's what you do. Make use of available time, nap times, play dates, after bedtime. Convince the grandparents to babysit or special time with aunt and uncle. Take advantage of any time that the kids are elsewhere. Plan, have in your back pocket quick scenes and longer scenes. Maybe you only have time for 30 minutes. So you just do a short spanking scene, just enough that it reinforces the dynamic in your connection.
Takes the edge off.
Yep. Create safe spaces where you know that you can hurry up and grab those quick DS activities and soundproof your room if you have to. Micro scenes are going to be your friend. Short, intense scenes that you can fit into a busy schedule. Be it a quick impact play session, a short bondage session, afternoon quickies, right? Sometimes you just got to quickly get naked, fuck, and get dressed.
Sounds great.
Okay? And if you know that's in your schedule and you've got it planned, trust me, that's when you use your technology, your text to send each other dirty messages during the day. So that's your beef. That's your, oh God, I just fucking blanked on the word because I've had so many words.
Not negotiation.
No.
Preliminary.
What do you call the
Preview.
stuff you do before the actual sex? Foreplay. Thank you. I knew
You're
I'd get
welcome.
there. That's your foreplay. So that hopefully by the time you get to actually have sex, you're already ready to go because you've been looking forward to it all day. Utilize babysitters or family help. Take advantage to create opportunities for longer, uninterrupted play sessions. Make plans to go away for a night, even if all you do is get a hotel room at the local hotel so that you can have time alone and away. Sometimes you need to literally leave your house to lose that I'm a parent mindset. I know I had a friend, she used to go, they'd go to the hotel, right? And the husband would go to the bar and she would go and sit next to them and they'd pretend they were strangers and hooking up for a one-night stand. And put a little extra fun into their night.
Dude, yes. Wear a wig.
Oh, yes.
Wear something that you've never would not normally be your style and just like be a different person and then meet them and be a different person. Throw some role play into that shit.
Yeah. Fun.
It really is.
Emotional and psychological support for each other. This is when you have to remember you are a team and you are working together. And what's good for one is going to be good for the other. We say it all the fucking time. Communication. Open, honest communication. Express your needs, your limitations, address your frustrations, discuss any challenges or changes that are happening in either with the kids, with yourself, that might impact your dynamic. Make sure you have a safe space for discussing those frustrations or difficulties, and nobody is judging or retaliating. You want constructive feedback and active listening. Make sure you've got regular check-ins, scheduled discussions, whether it's once a week, once a month, whatever, where you are setting aside time to sit down and discuss how things are going, the state of your DS dynamic, and any issues relating to that so that you can address concerns without letting them build up. Create some mechanisms for feedback. Whether it be open-ended questions, check-in forms, conflict resolution skills. You want to develop strategies for addressing the conflicts or disagreements in a respectful and productive manner. Mutual support. Again, you need to work together, shared responsibilities, collaborate on parenting tasks and responsibilities. Discuss, encourage and appreciate each other and the effort you are putting into it. Don't sit and blame one. Like, oh, you're spending so much time dealing with the kids and now you have no time for me. You know? Instead, it should be handled with, I see that you're spending a lot of time with having to deal with the kid stuff and I feel like it's leaving me with less time. What can I do to free up some of your time so maybe you can spend it with me? Well, maybe that means I have to now take on a couple more responsibilities with the kids so we can get it all done. Support each other in your DS dynamic. Reinforce your roles. Provide guidance and feedback to each other. Offer thoughtful responses or proactive behavior. Self-care and mental health. Recognize the importance of self-care in preventing burnout and maintaining your overall well-being. Exercise. Maybe you need exercise to help reduce stress and improve mood. And that's part of your self-care, right? Whether you do it together or apart. Hobbies. Make time for your hobbies. One of the biggest things that was a problem for me is I got so involved in being mom that I lost Rara. I was just mom.
I think a lot of people have that.
It's very common. And especially when you've got multiple children, and being that mine were so spaced apart, like as my oldest was getting to be more independent, I had another child. So all of that extra time from having an older independent child went out the wayside because I was back to having a baby. Not my best plan, but it wasn't the plan. So that's the way it goes. And make sure that you're taking time for yourself, but you also still have to balance that self-care with your responsibilities and figure out how to integrate all of that seamlessly without neglecting your parenting or neglecting your DS responsibilities. Now, all of this is great advice. Is it easy? Of course it's not. But I don't know much about being a parent that is easy other than loving my children. It is difficult. It just is difficult. And as I said, I lost myself in being a parent, and that's not healthy. And if you find yourself in that position, especially let's say you're the submissive, that is a good time to sit down with your dom and ask for help. Maybe your dom can assign tasks for you. Maybe your dom can assign responsibilities that make you think more of your submissive side than your parenting side. You know, if you're the dynamic, this is a good time to step up and help and take over maybe and say, okay, look, you are overwhelming yourself. You're taking on too much. So I am stepping in as the dom and I'm putting my foot down with this. You will not be doing A, B, or C anymore because that's just taking too much. I'm going to take that over. Or C is a want to, not a have to. So I'm deciding you don't have to do it. and working together, your DS dynamic is going to be affected. Your ability to play is going to be affected. The good news is it's not permanent. Your kids are going to get older and require less of your actual time because they're going to create their own lives with school activities and friends, and hanging out with mom and dad is not cool anymore. They're going to want to be with their friends, which is going to be sad, but it's also going to free up time for you. Then God willing, they're going to grow up and move out of the house. Mm-hmm. I mean, in this economy, it's not when they're 18 anymore. It's when they're older, but God willing, that's going to happen.
Eventually.
So you get to go back to all of the pre-stuff beforehand.
And then they get divorced and they move back in with you and twice.
I only moved back in with my parents for 2 weeks because I was waiting for my apartment to be ready because 2 weeks was about the limit of my time living under their roof.
Let's see. When I first moved back here after college with a husband, I moved back in with my mom for 6-ish weeks so that I could start the new job and find an apartment.
Yeah.
Because I had nothing. I mean, like, I got the job and moved within a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I got nothing. So.
But if you don't make the time and effort when your kids are younger to at least keep some hold on your DS, if you're like, we'll just put it aside for now, it's going to be much harder to pick up many years later. And if you're one of those people, and I think most are, where the DS dynamics are actually part of your self-care, right? Because that's a part of who you are.
Yep. I had that issue.
Right? And I know a lot of submissive that having a dominant is what helps them get through the stressful times. And parenting is fucking stressful.
Well, yeah, but, also remember when I was married to Mr. Vanilla, I also did not have children, and I was losing myself even just with that because he didn't want anything to have to do with kink and thought the kinks I did have were disgusting.
Yeah. So you want to try to find a way to still keep the dynamic going. It's not going to look the same, but if you can still keep it going and still keep some hold on it, it will benefit you in the long run. I hope that helped. As I said, this was one of the most requested episodes that I think we've ever had.
Yeah, we just couldn't figure out how to word it correctly.
Well, I wanted to make sure I did it justice because I did get very lucky and I didn't have this issue because I didn't really get into DS till my kids were older. So, but good luck. If anybody has any additional ideas and thoughts, reach out, make a comment on any of our social media posts about this episode and help others because, as they say, it takes a village, right? It takes a village to raise your kids, it takes a village to keep the DS going while you're raising the kids. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to show support, there are several ways. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can support our affiliates or help spread the word about our kinky podcast to your friends.
Don't forget to rate and review Pink Kink on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pretty, stay safe,
and stay twisted.